Test 2, test 3. Test, test, test. Yes. Thumbs up, thumbs middle, thumbs down. Where are we at? Test, test, test. Here we are. Sound is sound. Test, test.
Test, test, test. Test, test. Test, test, test. Test. Test, test. Test. Can you hear me? Testing for Zoom. All right, thank you. Testing this microphone for Zoom. Testing this microphone for Zoom. Testing this microphone for Zoom.
Hi, this is a test for Zoom. Test for Zoom.
Hello? Yes, it works. Welcome to the November full board meeting of Community Board 7 Manhattan. I would like to have a motion to adopt the agenda. All in favor by hand vote? Any opposed? Abstentions? Okay, we have adopted the agenda. First, welcome to this lovely facility and where are we going to be? of service. I have appointed
Can folks at home hear us now? Oh, yep. I'm getting a thumbs up
Okay.
from Michelle Park.
Okay,
Okay, good.
we're back. Thank you. I was saying, I've appointed Elizabeth Caputo as co-chair of transportation, replacing Mark Dillard, who has resigned from the board. Elizabeth has huge shoes to fill. Andrew Albert has graciously agreed to stay on as co-chair until we name someone new. And I would publicly like to thank Mark Dillard for his years of exceptional and dedicated service to our community.
You're here.
And thanks to all of our co-chairs for the hard work they've done over the last years. With that, I'll turn the meeting over to Max for our district manager's report.
Thanks. I lost my train of thought because I was working on some of the tech stuff. One of the things I was going to say to follow and thank Mark Diller for everything that he's done in my short time here and for everyone else, and we will miss him and we appreciate it. In addition, the newly appointed co-chairs, Jessie has probably reached out to all of you by now. Those who haven't yet met with her, please plan to meet with her because your meetings are coming up. And for everyone that's joining on Zoom, please accept the prompt that we're sending, and that way you can be seen and heard on the screen because a couple of you have declined so far. And that's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Max. I would then like to open the community session. Just because of the complexity of managing the online folks who wish to speak and the ones who are in the room. I would like to extend to those who have come here the opportunity to speak first for 2 minutes. And again, this is for an open conversation around an issue of your choice. If you are here to speak to one of the issues on our agenda, that will be later. So this is essentially the public session for those who have items they wish to bring to the attention of the board. So are there any folks in the room? Shelley, do you wish to speak as a member of the public? Please come.
As a many years, have observed one of the most outstanding members of this board and leaders of this board, Mark Diller. Few people, very rare, have all the combination of skills and personality, experience that he has. He's so intelligent. His communication, written communication on behalf of the board, his oral communication and explaining things and understanding things, his deep knowledge of so many areas that we've dealt with that few of us have, his kindness to people, his service to the community here on the board and beyond, his mentorship of so many people, both directly and by his example. It's such a great loss to us. And the only thing I can hope is that those of us who have been fortunate enough to be with him, to see him, to work with him, will be able to take some of those good qualities, skills, and what we've learned from him with us to enrich the board.
Thank you. Are there other members of the public in the room who wish to speak during the public session? Miriam, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. In case you didn't meet me last meeting, my name is Mariana Brazão. I'm the new head of community here at Lincoln Center, so I'll be working directly with you guys. Just want to give a few highlights from the past month. It's been a busy month. During the 62nd New York Film Festival, we presented San Juan Hill, Manhattan's Lost Neighborhood documentary. We welcomed over 80 community members, including some of you all, and we're looking at other potential screenings for this group. For the second year, we hosted Council Member Gil Brewer's D3 Arts and Schools Fair. We also partnered with Council Member Gil Brewer to host an older adult tech clinic in the atrium. The Lincoln Center team also participated in Senator Horlman Segal's Older Adult Resource Fair. We welcomed over 5,000 people for our third annual open house, and we ended the month with our Dia de Muertos celebration, which had about over 400 people in attendance, and our community ofrenda altar was filled with wonderful photos and letters dedicated to loved ones around the community. Upcoming, our Lincoln Center Presents, which is free and choose what you pay, is in full swing. We have our November flyer outside on the table. A couple of highlights: we have our Unsound Festival this month and our Via Social Dance on November 22nd. Our Lincoln Center Fall Gala, a celebration of the human voice, is Monday, November 18th. And we have our Community Blood Drive on Monday, December 2nd from 1 to 7 p.m. in the atrium. Just to cap it off, we welcome the Big Apple Circus again, and that will be here running from November 8th to January 5th. Thanks so much. And if you have any questions, let me know after the meeting.
Last call for anyone in the room who wishes to speak during the public session. Okay. Jesse, over to you. Are there online members of the public who have signed up? Oh, okay. Okay, Steve?
Well, thanks, Beverly. I guess that's means it's my
Steve
turn.
Anderson, you're up.
First of all, thank you so much for beginning the meetings with the public session. I try to encourage people to participate, and having the opportunity to begin is important, and I thank you for that. I'm Steve Anderson from the Upper West Side Coalition, and I am a friend of Mark Diller's, and I would be remiss to not acknowledge the fact that he has been someone who has been an integral part of the work we do and the work of so many block and neighborhood associations do, and he has our tremendous respect and admiration. The Upper West Side Coalition is block and neighborhood associations joined with many of the leading nonprofits that serve our community. Groups like Goddard and Project Find and Wishfish and DeRoad and the newly named New York Historical. And if anyone would like to start a block association, we are prepared to assist. If anyone would like to revive a block association, we're here to help. There were many more block associations years ago, and there's a movement now to try to come back strong with neighborhood and block associations. We've got a newsletter. We've got all sorts of communications that go out. We do forums, upperwestsidecoalition.org. Look for us, sign up for the newsletter. If you'd just like to know more about what's going on in the community, here's another resource. And lastly, Max, thank you so much for doing battle with technology because it is a battle. I have that myself. Thank you for working on that. And thank you for trying to make it so that anyone who wants to participate can be seen and heard. Thank you all. I appreciate all your efforts.
You're not on mic, so Yvette Romero, you're up.
Yes. Hi. Hi.
I think we can hear you.
I think you can now.
Yes, we hear you.
Yes, we can hear you now.
We could hear you if you want to continue.
Oh, what? I'm sorry. What did you want?
Yvette, go ahead. Go ahead, Yvette.
With what? I'm sorry. What am I supposed to do or say? I'm confused. I'm here for the first time because I'm taking the place of Dale, who could not be here tonight. So I don't really know what I'm supposed to do or say. I'm just sort of here. I'm taking notes, and I will report back to
So
Dale.
you're just observing. You didn't have a comment to make?
No, I didn't. Why
Okay.
did you think I did?
Thank you for attending, and
Okay.
we'll go on to the next speaker.
Claire Botnick, you are up.
No comments here. I was just
Okay. We're
thanks.
glad you're here, though. Eric Papa would be next.
Hi, everyone. This is my first Community Board 7 meeting. I don't really, have a lot to say, but I'm not going to say it all. But it's really mostly revolving around where I live, which is across the street from, or pretty close across the street from the McDonald's pedestrian plaza where the recent shooting took place on West 71st Street. I've been working diligently for as long as I've lived here, because my building has been covered in a sidewalk shed for about 3 or 4 years now at 211 West 71st Street. My daughter goes to PS 199. We walked into the building about a minute before that shooting happened. That group of kids that got shot are a group of kids that would hang under our shed. And so I just really wanted to get on the record to say, and many people have heard from me, and I've been in the news apparently because I was kind of that I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it guy who walked down to the incident. And I know that this has been a big problem for some time, and I'm just here to say that I think that it's about time that there's a sense of urgency to do something about Amsterdam Avenue between West 70th and West 71st Street. Not only that, I would actually even say further, West 70th Street to West 72nd Street seems to be a forgotten wasteland of nothing gets done. It's the wonderful, amazing Lincoln BID stops at the south side of 70th Street. There's a block association on West 71st Street, but it's probably, I'm sure many would agree, it's probably the busiest intersection on the Upper West Side, and it's lacked police presence. It lacks enforcement of garbage, of sidewalk cleaning, of just about anything that you can imagine. And I just think it's really about time that this gets bumped up to a major priority, because I've lived here for 5 years. I'm a location manager by trade. I've been able to do things in New York City with 2 weeks notice that it seems to be taking 10 to 15 years to get done on these 2 blocks. Quick data, and then I'll jump off because I think I probably already said more than enough. This area, this 2-block area between West 70th Street and West 72nd Street, there's maybe 28 businesses that hold storefronts in that space. Of those 28 businesses, maybe 3 to 5 of them are mom and pop type places, which I define as places that don't have multiple locations, aren't a Fortune 500 company. And I've met with the Lincoln BID folks. They were gracious enough to give me some of their time. I've been trying every which way to see what we can do, but it seems to me that an outreach to these major businesses would be the first thing to do to get them to start contributing to the cleaning up of this area. I was really disheartened to hear that there's, and I'm going to botch the language of whatever it's called, but the new curb program that's happening from 72nd Street going north. And once again, 70th Street to 72nd Street seems to have been forgotten about, and it continues to sort of be a really problematic area. And that shooting, I wrote to the police department a month before that shooting. Gail Brewer's office called me the day after that shooting, and have, and I've met with them. And again, I think everyone probably on this call understands that, like, in my 5 years living here, there's been 5 shootings within a 4-block radius of, and that I lived in Brooklyn for 20 years and I didn't have one shooting within a mile of where I lived. And that seems to be odd to me. So thank you for your time. And I hope that together we can all start to make some real change.
Attended. Try to address with all the city agencies around there some of the issues that you've raised. So I do think that there is work going on now that never was before and should have been. I thank you for bringing it to our attention.
May I tag on to that?
Yes.
At this meeting, Councilmember Brewer put that meeting together. It was Beverly and myself, but also the commanding officer of the 20th precinct, as well as some other deputy community affairs, the owner and managers of the McDonald's, the management company for the building, the Department of Sanitation, the Department of Transportation, Senator Brad Hoylman-Siegel, Assembly Member Linda Rosenthal were all there, and I may even be forgetting some. So it was a really an incredible showing, and there's a commitment to have ongoing meetings with that group and others.
Thank you. Next.
Yes.
Speaker.
The next speaker is Daryl Cochran. I hope I'm getting your last name pronounced correctly. Daryl?
Yes, that's correct. You can hear me okay? Great. Thanks. I just want to, introduce myself. I had planned to come here a while ago, but I think it's more poignant now at this time. But I'm with the New York City Commission on Human Rights. If you're unfamiliar with us, we are a city agency that enforces the non-discrimination laws throughout the 5 boroughs. We function mainly in the areas of employment and housing discrimination, as well as what's known as public accommodation. So basically anywhere you consider yourself a customer is a place of public accommodations, as well as if you're accessing city services, those are public accommodations as well. And there are over 24 protected classes, including age, race, gender identity, sexual orientation, immigration status, and none of that will change, in the foreseeable future. I know a lot of people are concerned about our rights here in this country, but we want to make sure folks know that they are protected against discrimination here in New York City. I'm the director of the Manhattan Community Service Center, and we're located down at 22 Reed Street. Folks can come in and just walk into our offices to speak to someone from our law enforcement bureau if they have a discrimination complaint. I certainly tell people we know that discrimination can be hard to prove, but go with your gut feeling. What you may not know is that maybe we have 5 complaints against the same landlord or the same store owner. So I encourage people to come to us. You could always call 311, ask for human rights, and you'll get someone live Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. And so I'm happy to stick around for questions, but I just wanted to introduce myself and our agency if you're unfamiliar with us. I know we've worked with some folks specifically at CB7 before, and we would certainly love to work with you more again. So thank you very much.
Yes. Julia from the Manhattan District Attorney's Office.
Hi, everyone. This
Hi,
is
Julia.
Julia from Manhattan District Attorney's Office. I'm a community engagement coordinator. I cover this
Sorry, we're not able to
area.
hear you. Hold on.
Oh. Can you hear me now?
Can you try again, Julia?
Yes. Can you hear me right now?
Yes, there we go.
Okay, wonderful. Hi, everyone. Sorry about that. I'm a community engagement coordinator for this area. I wanted to announce a few recent indictments that we've had in the area. Specifically, we've seen on the topic of elder abuse. Many of you may have seen in local news the story about an 81-year-old woman who was randomly assaulted while walking her dog. We saw a few of those incidents. Many of those indictments are on our website as a press release, but this one was a particularly heinous attack that was recently announced. We also had one a few weeks back about a doorman who stole over $400,000 from an elderly couple who was residing in the building in which he worked. And we do a number of preventative outreach measures for elder abuse. We've recently kind of increased our partnerships on the Upper West Side, doing collaborative events with the Rote, with Apple Bank, and others. And we're always happy to go to community centers, go to different organizations in person or via Zoom to talk both about physical abuse, domestic violence, as well as scams, fraud, and other kind of crimes, different horrible measures that are targeting older adults in our community, which is something we're very concerned about, have really expanded the unit out to focus on. So as always, if you have questions, ideas, anything, please feel free to reach out and have a great rest of your meeting.
Is that it? Very good.
Thank you. We now have a particular item related to our bylaws, which will during that meeting, We need to. Steering committee meeting. If it is designed carefully to avoid the pitfalls that existed before. The main items that I have put forth as a proposal include one committee, one public member per committee serving for 1 year at a time for no more than 3 years. In addition, annual applications, nominations by a committee, and with consultation, full consultation for the committee co-chairs to then refer those preferred applicants to the chair for appointment. Automatic expulsion after 3 absences in a year, and possibility of voting folks out should a committee decide that they are non-productive or in any way detrimental to the work of the committee. At the steering committee, Valerie Mason, who's the chair of Community Board 8, has agreed to come and via Zoom and describe their successful program and what benefits they've seen from it. So at a moment when we need to attract new members in volume as term limits approach, I think this is a path to doing so that many boards in Manhattan have found very successful. Are there questions to clarify what this is about this time, or should I go on to the next one? Okay. The second change I recommended was removing the section on excused absences. Our bylaws contain language from before hybrid meetings that it makes obsolete that provision for a couple of reasons. When added to the 6 allowable absences per year, plus the ability to request waivers to attend remotely, it kind of makes a mockery of the commitment each board member is asked to make to be an active member of the board, to have yet an additional loophole for further absences yet. Secondly, its only meaningful check on poor attendance is the power of the borough president's office to remove members. The BP's office does not consider excused absences in addition to a general absence allowance. So there was a consensus with, I think, 1 negative vote from a non-committee member at the steering committee on moving this one forward. Any clarifying questions? No. Okay. Third one was defining present as present, meaning at the roll call during a meeting. This was unanimously supported by the steering committee to provide a predictable basis for determining what an absence is. The language in the bylaws provides flexibility to the chair now to determine when the roll call should be scheduled in the agenda, so everyone is aware. What we've specifically added is that in a meeting with an election of officers, the roll call immediately precede the initiation of the voting process to be eligible for that vote. Fourth was a very controversial item, I think, that requires significant more conversation, which we can have at steering committee in a week. This was the creation of a vice chair for operations and technology. It was an effort to address two things. One was those people who continue to feel that we need a second vice chair. And there are a number of folks in that group. And secondly, it's a response to my growing understanding of the criticality of having dedicated people attached to this kind of work. Continuing to focus on improving communications and systems to prepare and run meetings is about a lot more than just tech. It also includes policy. I think it's appropriate that it be a member of the executive committee that has that chair. We were very fortunate last year in having someone working out of title on the executive committee on this body of work. We should not ask someone to take on this effort without creating a platform to have some official status to do so. Elected through an open process in knowledge of the likely scope of the work. So my question to those who oppose to this position is, whom do we expect to do this body of work now and in the future if we do not have such a position in our structure? Are there clarifying questions here, or should I move on? Anybody up there? No, okay. Finally, the fifth resolution tightens our election procedures to avoid many of the pitfalls we experienced in October, which was not, I think, our finest hour. These recommendations came in the most part from Natasha Kazmi and reflected the thinking of our election committee. There was strong support at the steering committee for all of these items except for the concept of ballot curing. And I've withdrawn that item from the proposal and instead would recommend a working group to redesign the ballot, which may remove errors that we experienced on some ballots during the election. The main facets of this particular proposal are no electioneering at the full board on the night of the election, allowing for electronic ballots for those with waivers to attend remotely, no motion to adjourn while election is underway, except when the chair declares an emergency situation. And when the election committee determines a winner and the election chairperson announces it, the election is complete. And that's really the substance of it. Howard.
Wait, let's get you on a mic so that people at home can hear you.
Do you want to come up here?
We redesigned the ballot. Sorry, okay. Even if we redesign the ballot, I'm still concerned that there may be issues with how people fill it out. So I think we should address in the bylaws how we should address those issues rather than leaving it to the discretion of the elections committee or whomever to decide whether to count the ballot or not. I think we should address that up front. That's been an issue in the past. And no matter how much work we put into the ballot, it's probably going to be an issue in the future.
Thank you. I take that by way more of a comment than a clarification question, but thank you for it. If you're able to attend next week, that would be helpful to make your point. Thank you. Anything further on this matter? Okay. Then we can move on.
See representatives.
I understand that Council Member Abreu has arrived. Would you like to please come forward and make a few remarks?
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Beverly, for your amazing work for the board. Just want to provide a few updates on what we've been working on. Participatory budgeting, the idea submission for this neighborhood is on November 15th. So if you have ideas on how we should spend $1 million in Community District 7, let us know. I know that there are the tree guards that you guys won in last year's cycle. It would be great if you can submit your ideas again. As many of you know, curbside composting is happening all over New York City, so we're excited for that. Composting gets picked up the same day as recycling. If you know that your building is not complying, let our office know so that we can make sure that they do comply. Starting today, 1 to 9 unit buildings will containerize their trash, with larger buildings to follow after. This is how we tackle the rat problem. We have to shut down the rat buffet. On November 20th at 10 a.m., I believe, we are having a hearing on containerization. We want you to make your voices heard. Let us know what you think is working, what's not working, and the direction that the city should take with respect to trash management. I want you to know that last month I introduced a bill to promote detection and treatment of sleep apnea, which is one of the biggest health issues in the city that we just often don't talk about. When our airways are blocked, people think it's just a snore, but we're calling this more than a snore. The impact on your heart, the impact on your brain can be long lasting. And so we want New Yorkers to know that we want you to detect it early and be able to treat it. And so we're working on legislation to provide that. Tomorrow, the FAIRS Act is being voted on. This is a bill that's banning landlords from requiring, I'm proud to be number 2 on that bill, by the way. This is a bill banning landlords from requiring renters to automatically pay for brokers' fees. This should make it a lot easier to move into an apartment. It makes no sense in the world that you have to, especially for our young professionals who are just moving into our neighborhoods, to spend $10,000 out of pocket just to get an apartment. When you consider first month's rent, when you consider the deposit, among all other things, that's a barrier that we want to eliminate. And my last thing is, I know there's a lot of concerns about the recent presidential election. However these election results change things for you and your loved ones, just know that our office is here to help. Thank you very much, Community Board 7.
And Hannah, is Hannah here?
Hi, everyone. I'm Hannah Wienerin from Congressman Jerry Nouther's office. Congressman Nouther went back down to DC because Congress is back in session. I don't have a lot of answers right now. We don't know what lies ahead. It's going to be a very fraught time. It's very understandable if you have concerns about your lives, your loved ones, your livelihoods, the way that the federal government is going to interact with New York. So what I will say is, first of all, we will continue to be a resource as changes come up. We will let you know. We will put it on our website. We will make sure to get the information out there. I will say the House has not been called yet. So we also don't know if we will be on the cusp of a majority or on the cusp of a minority, but either way, it's going to be a very chaotic time down in DC. Congressman Adler is staunchly dedicated to fighting for his constituents and our country with all of his might to the best of his abilities. He'll continue to do that. Until then, you're welcome. And we encourage you to, first of all, if there's anything bureaucratic that you're pushing off, like renewing your passport, enrolling in Medicare, do that now. You can renew your passport online at travel.state.gov/renew online. We recommend that you do that. We recommend that you take care of anything that might, we don't know what agencies will look like. So just make sure to get ahead of it now. If you have any questions about student loans, about anything in the federal government, we are accepting casework. We are open. We are here. You can go to nather.house.gov or you can call us at 212-367-7350. We're also very committed to working with Community Board 7. So as your liaison, if anything comes up, if there's anything that you want to have the congressman involved in or opine on, just let me know. We're here to help. Thank you.
Could you, she's online.
She's a lookalike.
Erica, you can speak.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you. Hi, Erica Overton from Assemblymember Linda Rosenthal's office. First thing, the Assemblymember has a bill that would protect people's sensitive health data. And given Tuesday's election results, that may be more important than ever because right now, I'll just use this as an example, but your period tracker, your ovulation tracker, if you buy a pregnancy test online, none of that data is protected. It's not HIPAA protected. So that all of that information can be sold to third parties. It is not a crazy idea considering there is a proposal for a national abortion surveillance database that information can find itself elsewhere. And that goes for any health information. Even if you want to, your health, your steps, all of that information is privy, somebody else has that information. And so the Assemblymember has a bill that would protect that information from going to third parties. And so always urgent to protect people's health information, but I would say it's an emergency now. And so that is at the top of the list for the Assemblymember to pass this session. There's also, the Assemblymember is chair of the Housing Committee. And so there's a real realization, real consequence that the Trump administration would like to abolish HUD. HUD does fund NYCHA. It funds many of the vouchers that people use in New York State. It also funds different benefits like LIHTC and all of that is used to fund affordable housing. And so that while we don't know what's down the pike, that's a reality that we are discussing and ready for in case that is changed and that whole, there's a new reality. And then third, the Assemblymember, as we touched on earlier, did attend the West 71st Street walkthrough with Councilmember Brewer and State Senator Hoylman. And we have been pushing for DOT to change the redesign of that area. It's a very wide block. It's very cluttered. There's a lot of things happening there. DOT was at the walkthrough. It might be sinking in that they should be doing that now. But we are also trying to get the scaffold, the sidewalk shed down at 211 West 71st Street. So we're currently working with DOB on that. And then just in general, gun violence, in general, we should be working. Obviously, we have great gun bills, but we need to do more. Gun laws, sorry. So the Assemblymember could use your help. We're trying to pass 3 bills this year. It would be banning the manufacture of ghost guns. It is also not allowing people to buy more than 1 gun within 30 days, since studies have shown that those guns end up in the black market. And then also prohibiting people from manufacturers from advertising guns to children. And so would love CB7's help in getting those things over the finish line. And then tomorrow is Shred Day. Everyone's favorite holiday, from 11 to 3 p.m. in front of the Assemblymember's office. There will be a shred truck. Many, many people are coming. If you'd like to join, we will be there until 3 o'clock. And that's it. Thank you.
Are there any further late arrivals? Okay. In lieu of a roll call, since both of our secretaries are not in the room tonight, we will use the sign-in sheet in lieu of the roll call. So if you did not remember to sign the sign-in sheet, please see Doug before you leave and make sure your name is properly noted. Okay. With that, we are ready to open the business session. And I call on Andrew Albert to be joined by Elizabeth if she wishes.
Okay, welcome. You sure? Okay. We have 2 resolutions, which are secondary street namings. We were very impressed with the honorees. The first one is a secondary street naming in honor. Yeah, absolutely. In honor of Mani Callan, which would be the northeast corner of 96th and Columbus. We do have somebody here, if you would like to ask a question, or if you would like to speak on behalf of the secondary naming of the northeast corner of 96th and Columbus in honor of Monty Callan. Would anyone like to speak to that? Otherwise, we can propose a vote. Come on up, Maddie.
Hello, I'm Lindy Callan, Monty's daughter, and I put forth this proposal. I really started working on it in the summertime, gathering signatures, and I met so many people who were enthusiastic about co-naming the street corner in honor of my mother, who was a lifelong activist and advocate for just about everyone. And Brodheim and Siegel signed it, and I'm going to forget his name, sorry, Stefan Russo, who was the executive director of the Uganda Riverside Community Center, signed it. You know, people stopped and said, oh, we knew your mom, she was amazing. Or they would ask, who was this woman? And I would have to explain. And I was saying to Jami a little while ago that, you know, our parents are human and flawed. And I saw my mother very rarely because she was a single mother raising 2 kids. And she also worked outside the home. And she worked in the Bronx a lot. And this was back in the late 60s, early 70s. And she said, I worried about you kids every minute because she couldn't contact us. We came home alone and let ourselves in with our key. And I was kind of griping about her lack of oversight during my childhood, recently to my stepmother. And I said, you know, my parents were very interested in their careers and they were saving the world. And she said, that they were saving the world, Lindy. That's why they weren't at home. So I am proposing this because, especially in this political climate, I think it's important to remember not just the Norman Rockwells and the Isaac Bashevis Singers, but also the Monty Callans, who really had boots on the ground, looking after not just their own kids, but every kid in the neighborhood, and the young men dying of AIDS in the hospital, and the Black kids, and, you know, everybody's kid was her kid. Every fight was her fight. So although she didn't lead any of the fights, she wasn't at the forefront, she had a hand in every single fight. Thank you.
Yeah. Any questions before we move the resolution? Okay. Ken. Want to use the mic?
This is very hard to do when we have such wonderful people like Ms. Cohen. But I just want to explain why I'm going to vote against this.
Please get back to me. It's Susan Peters.
Because
212
we have wonderful people in this community that really deserve to be recognized, but we just shouldn't be doing it by putting street signs, additional street signs up on poles. Street signs are to guide street users. It should be sacrosanct. And all it does is add to the confusion and the clutter on our streets, which is distracting for drivers and other street users. We're now up to close to 50 secondary street names. At the rate we had a couple of months ago, we had 4 come before the Transportation Committee. At the rate we're going, I estimate in less than 7 years, we're going to have every corner in this district with a secondary street name. I just think we need to put a stop to it. Some community districts don't do this at all. So that's why I'm going to vote against it.
Okay, yes.
Can you get to the?
Want to use the
wanna be heard?
microphone, please?
Well, we also want people at home to hear you.
We don't have a remote mic. Huh?
Yeah, actually they are. Get that extra.
Hi, good evening. My name is Caitlin Abramovitz McNiff, and I'm a member of the Upper West Side community. I was raised on the West Side. I've raised all my children on the West Side, and naming streets is really close to my heart. It's something that I think is a beautiful tribute to people from all walks of life. I believe very strongly that cities like New York have many statues of men and named for men, some of whom nobody in New York City remembers at all unless you read the placard. And if streets could be named for some women who have contributed both as mothers and citizens to our community and our city, perhaps if it's something that we would need to revisit, like it gets named after them for 5 years, and then the naming can begin again at some time, that could be considered, or 10 years. Thank you for the time.
Okay, folks, Beverly, please say.
We're going back to the old-fashioned method of raising hands, and we have Doug and we have Kevin who will be doing the counting. So only board members should vote. Yes, that's good. All in favor of this particular resolution, raise your hand.
Can you keep your hands up?
No, only board
members, that's right.
Lower your hand because you're not a board member.
$25. It's okay. We're not counting her. That's okay. 25. 25. Okay. Look, hang on. Looks like so far we have 25. Hang on. No, 1, 2. Hang on.
This is.
People forgot how to do it. Raise your hand.
There is. Our 2 co-secretaries are not here tonight, and neither is our backer. We can ask them. You got it? What do you have? Okay.
Do we have a count?
Count. I have 25 also. Yeah.
Okay, all opposed? Board members opposed? There's 2.
Michael Miranda, are you opposed, or are your hand still up from the first vote? Yeah. Right. Right. 1. Like 9 opposed. You can. I have 9.
Any abstentions?
Wait. Alex is up again. Alex,
This was the only vote.
And Miranda's hands up. Miranda and Alex, are you abstaining? We are now in the abstention.
Yes, abstain.
No. I raised my hand
7
for the yes a long time ago, and I thought it was counted, so I'm just sorry about that.
We just deducted from that number. 7 abstentions. 7 abstentions. And I don't think anyone's ineligible.
Do you want to announce the vote?
Can you repeat that, Jed? It was
25 yays.
I'm Susan
7
Peterson. Can you please get back to me? I haven't had my chance to speak.
7 abstentions.
7 abstentions.
Okay, 212-864-0229, please.
9.
I think it's right.
Yeah.
25.
25. Yeah, 25,970.
So the motion passes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. That was so much fun. We have one more. And is anybody here to speak in honor of Lawrence Harlow Kahn? I recall the discussion at committee. He was an incredible musician and really beloved on the block of 86th west of Columbus. Is there someone to speak about Mr. Kahn or? Yes. Lawrence Harlow Kahn. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Quite a musician.
That's right.
Okay. All those in favor of the secondary name for Mr. Kahn?
Here. For 18 in the affirmative in total. Right. 18 in the affirmative. Now moving.
No, it's not his hand.
Okay. You want to go to the.
Okay, thank you. You can lower your hands. All those voting negative on this, please raise your hands now.
One here. 5 in total. Right. 6. Do that. Is that still Sue Peters on the upper left?
She can't vote, so don't count her.
Right.
Michael, you voting no?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Hold your
hand
down.
Michael, put your hand down, please.
How many?
19. Yeah, because I had. Some.
Yeah.
And then what do we say is it? Total. Extensions.
Yeah. Extensions.
We call for.
Did you do the negatives yet?
Yes. 19-6.
Okay, may we have all of those who are abstaining on this vote?
One, two, three.
That's what he's been doing. He's abstaining. He's not counted more than
18.
once.
8 abstentions on
8
the
and
left
2.
side.
So I've got 2 here and 8
10,
here.
10, and 11.
That's 11.
It's 11 abstentions.
11 abstentions.
And I assume no one's ineligible, so that motion also carries 19-6, 11-0.
Thank you very much, folks.
Avi has a question. Right. So
It needs people to run it. They are not here.
That's right.
That's the problem, isn't it? That we don't have the people sometimes. Okay. No, people have been trained, but they're not here. I'd like to call on Senator Hoylman Siegel to come forward. He's come into the room.
Thank you so much, Beverly. State Senator Brad Hoylman Siegel, representing you from Christopher Street to West 103rd. Very honored and humbled to have been reelected on Tuesday. Thank you. This is a humble brag, I guess, but 105,000 votes, the most of any Democratic state senator in all of New York. So I'd like to think that's all about me. It's a little bit about Jerry Nadler's coattails. It's also about voters on the West Side who really turn out. So thank you very much. Really, really honored. Obviously, a lot of mixed news for New York on Tuesday, but for the fact that we did pass the New York State Equal Rights Amendment with 62% of the vote that's going to protect abortion rights, LGBTQ rights, protections for immigrants and folks who have disabilities, rock solid in our state constitution. So very, very happy about that. Wanted to also mention a couple of other things. We hope to get news this week about how we're proceeding on congestion pricing. That's a big issue whether you're a driver or take the subway, because we have a $15.5 billion hole in the state budget that we have to fill come January. So anything we can do to address that is going to be important. So I thank the governor for bringing that issue back to the table, and I'm going to be working with my colleagues to fill in any gaps that might exist. I wanted to also note that earlier this month, I sent a letter to the DOE chancellor, along with our borough president, our assembly member, whose birthday it is today, Linda Rosenthal, Councilmember Brewer, to oppose denial of special education services for over 100 students at the Heschel School for the upcoming, for this year. Students are being denied their basic educational rights due to a bureaucratic collapse in coordination between the DOE and non-public schools. We've arranged a meeting to drill down on that issue and hopefully fix it. The governor signed my legislation, first in the nation, to require gun manufacturers to take responsibility to ensure that their devices, their guns, aren't compatible with something called a Glock switch or an auto sear. That's a little device, costs about 25 bucks. You can purchase it online or even download it and print it. You stick it to the back of a gun and it turns a pistol into a machine gun capable of firing 15 rounds in under 2 seconds. So this bill, now signed into law, is going to hold the gun manufacturers liable for this product defect. Think of the product defect when we held cigarette manufacturers responsible. It's the same principle, and we have it now in New York State. So I'm very proud of that. My colleague Caroline Wexelbaum is here, subbing for our other Caroline, Esther Caroline. And one more mention is I'm very grateful to my colleague Evan Lieberman, who many of you know. After 5 years, we were successful in our campaign to remove a sidewalk shed at the Sandra Thomas Apartments. And now that NYCHA Development is planting a garden for the spring, and they're going to benefit from a lot of beautiful sunshine. They say sunshine is the best disinfectant. So that's the case for sidewalk sheds as well. Speaking of which, we have an award that we're advertising called the Sheddies. Not the Tonys, not the Grammys, the Sheddies. And if you have your most annoying, decrepit, absolutely abysmal sidewalk shed that you want to nominate, let us know. We plan to present an award and hopefully get the Department of Buildings and landlords to take that favored shed down from your block. Thank you very much.
Somehow I believe we have skipped over one member of the public online who wished to speak. Is Sue Peters still available?
Yes, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Sue, are you here?
Yes, 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 yes. I'm here. Can you hear me?
You can speak if you wish.
But can you hear me? I need to know you can hear me. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, great. Thank you very much. Yes, I want to talk about my usual information. I'll give you a few more of it. I wish to point the board members to two sources of information about the health effects caused by EMF exposure. EMF stands for electromagnetic frequencies or wireless radiation. The first report is found at emfscientist.org. This report begun in 2015, but as of July 4th of this year, 266 EMF scientists from 44 nations and 15 supporting scientists from 11 nations have signed this petition. It goes to the UN's two divisions. Number one, the World Health Organization, and number two, its environmental program. In addition, this petition has also been sent to all UN member states, and it's asked for, quote, greater health protection on EMF exposure, end quote. The second report is the Bioinitiative report, found at bioinitiative.org. This report will give you the scope and variety of types of biological effects that wireless radiation can cause, and that could be a factor underlying some of the increases we are seeing in chronic disease. The representatives from the city and the company City Bridge, which represents the telecom industry, reassure the public that public health has been fine since the decades since wireless technologies have become widespread. But insurance companies tell a different story. A 2019 Blue Cross Blue Shield report tells us that the millennials, the generation born between 1981 to 1996,
Time, please wrap up.
is the first generation to grow up from birth with this technology and are worse off health-wise than Generation X, born before them. Please check out this information. It's very important for our children. And my child is part of the millennials. So please open your heart and minds and look into these two reports. Thank you.
Thank you. Richard Ashe has requested time to discuss the issue of street naming briefly.
If we notice that there were an awful lot of abstentions on both of the street namings tonight, as well as a lot of negative votes. And I think that proceeds from the absence of detailed information about the candidates. So I would propose that in the future, the Transportation Committee generate a written resume of any candidate for street naming and distribute it before the meeting, and that a representative of the person named be present at every meeting before any vote, so that we at least can make an informed choice.
Elizabeth, would you like to discuss Richard's comment? Elizabeth, you need to be here so they can hear you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to speak for Andrew, but I will speak for how we've done things in the past here on the Transportation Committee, that we obviously will work to do that. But for those new members especially, we encourage you to come to the committee meetings where you will hear from the community in detail about both their vision for the street, and why they believe the street renaming is important. The committee is where these discussions happen. Thank you.
I think some of you have exposed yourselves as still not using the drive because all that information is actually on the drive available to everyone here.
I'd like to call on the Preservation Committee. Kay here to deliver his swan song.
I'm not going away permanently, just retiring as co-chair. We have two resolutions. They are fairly simple and straightforward. You have them both before you. I'll take them both one at a time. They are both in the Upper West Side Central Park West Historic District. The first resolution is 144 West 82nd Street. It is, it says rooftop addition. It's really not. It's taking a balcony on the third floor of this brownstone and enclosing it with a glass and stucco enclosure and opening it to the room behind it. We've been through a lot of rear yard and rooftop additions. This is blissfully modest by comparison. So our committee voted 5-1 to support this, and we would recommend that you do the same. All right, all those in favor? Yep. Including 2021, including. Yeah.
Right, 37 in the affirmative.
Okay. Yeah, how about the nose?
No. Anyone online? Anyone online voting no?
Will, are you voting no?
Okay.
No longer.
That's one. And abstentions?
Okay, abstentions.
1,
1, 2, 3.
3 abstentions. And I assume no one's
for
ineligible. Anyone?
cause?
And
I don't.
okay,
I
so the
don't know.
motion carries 37-1-30.
Great.
On to the next.
Thank you. Our second resolution is concerning the Dwight School on the corner of, or near the corner of 88th and Central Park West. They propose adding 4 narrow banners to the front facade of one of their buildings that will be designed by the students. The facade, if you've been by there, is a fairly plain and straightforward facade without much ornamentation. This would spice it up a little bit and give the students a little bit of ownership over it. We reviewed it. It seemed quite tasteful. 3 of the banners are 2 feet wide by 8.5 feet long, high, whatever. And the others more modest at 2 feet by 3.5 feet. We reviewed it. We unanimously voted to support it. And so we bring it to you for a vote. All right, all those in favor of Dwight School having their banners?
Wait, hang on. Okay, we're not voting. We have questions?
Question before the question. Okay. Of course. Sure.
It's always a pleasure to hear the descriptions of the proposed landmarks by our terrific and now retiring co-chair and the present co-chair. What I do not understand, and I'm rather surprised by, especially in this gorgeous room and with the technology, that we do not see any picture, depiction, or anything of anything that we heard and talked about. I'm sorry? So, I mean,
Center, so we have to work with it kind of the way it is.
thank you, but I think what I have said simply is a reminder, and it has some merit, and one is a little bit surprised about this, and I value the space, but this is very strange and not adequate, though I appreciate the work.
Yes, we prefer to bring you visuals as well. And if anybody would like to see the plans, and they are online. They are on the famous drive. So
See,
please.
Andrew Ricci has a
let's-
question. You want to come up?
Let's get used to using the drive.
We have a question.
So this has come up in kind of, I don't want to say private conversation, but in other conversations I've had with members, and just to be a bit of a contrarian on that, it seems that this is the one committee where we spend an enormous amount of time at full board putting up diagrams, focusing on little minute parts in every single aspect of the application of the diagram, going back and forth, debating it in a way that we don't for other committees on matters, in my personal opinion, are of much greater importance to the community. And I would urge that in the future, if you want to focus on the specifics of each diagram, you can go to the committee meeting. And if there's a reason, a large debate at the full board, you open it up and you discuss it and review it. But I actually thought this more concise presentation and vote keeps a better flow for the whole board.
Okay, let's vote. All those in favor, please.
Not including the right.
How are we doing?
19 including the wall. 38. Yep, we do. 38 in the affirmative. And I can
All
call-
those opposed?
Yeah, well, we're still voting. One second.
We're voting. Any opposed?
Seeing none.
All right, abstaining?
One abstention.
Anybody, one, okay. Anybody ineligible?
Motion carries 38-0-1-0.
Thank you. You're all invited Thursday night to our meeting.
Louisa. You wanted to say something?
Louisa, do you have a question or a comment? You have to come forward.
About the pictures or any kind of depictions. I've been on preservation. I've worked for many years in city planning, and I just want to say that the visuals are incredibly important. It's very hard to visualize a lot of the improvements or changes that people are suggesting. So I just want to say that a picture is worth 1,000 words.
I think that we need to discuss further. No, we're going to end this conversation. I would only direct that these are all available on the website, or rather on our Google files. And anyone who wishes to look at them before the meeting can do so. So that's another way of doing it. No, we're not doing any more on this particular item of, pictures or no pictures. That's done. I would like to call on Gail Brewer, our council member who is here, to say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Board 7. I think there've been a couple of shootings. One is 71st Street, where the McDonald's Plaza is. And I think there's never a silver lining in a shooting, but the result is that we're working with all the agencies. We had a sort of informal meeting with Community Board 7 and all the elected officials, block associations, McDonald's themselves, all the city agencies. And we have a couple of mandates. One is thanks to the DOT coming to your meeting to talk about that plaza proposal that they have, working with the block associations that have ideas. The manager of the building has ideas. Everybody has ideas about what to do there. We're going to incorporate them all and figure out about the bikes, the trash, the beautification, and also the young people. We have to have more young people doing stuff at MLK High School. So that's just one topic. The person who was shot on 69th Street, I think certainly some of your members know only too well. Boris Shapiro, as you probably know, is head of the most wonderful Lincoln computer store. And so he's okay. His assailant has been found. The one on 71st Street has not, but the 2-0 precinct is very much on it. Participatory budgeting is taking place. You can follow it in our newsletter, but we only have a certain amount of time to come up with ideas. We're also working with the mayor's office because they have their own citywide participatory budgeting. And we have some dates. It's all in the newsletter when we're going to be working together at the Library for Performing Arts on Thursday to talk about everybody having their ideas, and let's make sure that the money gets spent well. I also want to mention that we had a really great older adult tech clinic in October. It was extremely well done. Again, thanks to Lincoln Center. We did the same thing here at Lincoln Center. I want to thank them because they've been so generous with their space. We had all the principals, the superintendents, and every single arts organization. We had 65 of them show up with tables right in this room, in this area. And a huge advantage to the schools is to have the groups, Albanale, Ballet Hispanico, et cetera, some of whom have funding and just want to have a school to go to. So it's a wonderful match. And also Lincoln Center is making available tickets to the Neisha families for the circus. And we really, really appreciate that. We're obviously working with the JCC on clothing. I know a lot of people are doing that. And we're working with them on books so that in January we'll have a huge book fair for children as we've done in the past. And they're both very, very successful. We just had a hearing on ambulance response times in my committee. The bad news is the numbers are drastically increasing the wrong direction for ambulances, both for life-saving, it's a minute or more. That's not good. And 7 or 8 minutes for non-life-saving responses. So we're going to have to work to figure out how we're going to do that in a different way. On a more positive note, I just passed a bill. It's now being implemented and there's a website and hopefully it gets on Google Maps. Every time you look up and you see the many names that we know, it'll be available. Not in the past, with half the time, nobody knows who the folks are. But now it's on a website, hopefully on Google Maps, and it'll be something, our history will be able to be available to everybody who cares to look at what is happening. I want to mention the bill that I'm passing tomorrow would say that every park, large parks in particular, have to have composting. And I want to thank Riverside Park Conservancy because it's their model that we're able to show and say, look, other parks, you can do the same thing. So Riverside Park deserves huge accolades for that. And I want to say thank you very much. Thank you, Riverside Park, and all the work you put into it. We're putting a lot of time into tree care clinics. Again, in our newsletter, you're welcome to participate. But if you have these trees planted, they take forever to get planted, but then you got to take care of them. Otherwise, they don't live. So we're getting people to do that. We have our ongoing housing clinic. And the city council tomorrow is going to be passing or not passing. I don't know what's going to happen. The broker fee bill, it's the most freaking controversial thing imaginable. The hotel licensing bill just passed, as you know. And of course, the big issue that we're all working on is both the city council's housing plan and the housing bill that the zoning bill, housing that the zoning bill, I won't say it's housing, that the mayor has submitted, and they're supposed to come as a package. We shall see if anything gets built. Thank you very much.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Do I hear a second? Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourn.
Yeah. Yes. I want to have some more with you on this. No, just on. Yeah, but I want to talk to you about a couple of this.